Welcome back. Today's adventure brings us in search for Nevada State historical markers numbers 131 through 135. So let's start off our trip in Douglas County. Located about 3.5 miles south of Gardnerville on the southbound shoulder is going to be our first marker in this series. Also, not too far away is marker number 125. So let's take a look at marker number 131, Dresslerville. Dresslerville. In 1917, State Senator W.M.F. Dressler gave this 40-acre tract to Washoe Indians, then living on ranches in Carson Valley. After a school was opened in 1824, it became a nucleus of settlement. Before the intrusion of Caucasians in 1848, Washoes lived in winter in the pine nut hills where they stored autumn-harvested pine nuts. In summer, they lived in the Lake Tahoe Basin, fishing the tributary streams and gathering roots and berries. In fall, they hunted jackrabbits and gathered seeds in the Carson Valley. Their only form of organization was that of kinship. These Stone Age people lived in daily communion with giants, monsters, animals whose characteristics were interchangeable with those of people, and with water babies, having the bodies of old men and the long hair of girls, who lived in the lakes of the High Sierra. Nevada State Historical Marker number 131. Let's turn around and head north for about 38.5 miles to Virginia City. As we enter Virginia City, we will need to get onto D Street and continue north. Once we pass Flowery Street, we will see a small mansion on the right-hand side. This is Mackay Mansion and our next marker. Marker number 132, Mackay Mansion. Mackay Mansion. Once owned by John Mackay, this elegant mansion also served as the office for the Golden Curry Mining Company. Mackay, an Irish-born immigrant, was the richest man the Comstock ever produced. Built in the 1860s when George Hart played an important role in the company, this building became the headquarters for Mackay, Fair, Flood, and O'Brien, Silver Kings of the Comstock. Nevada State Historical Marker number 132. Now, let's head south for 201 miles to the small community of Dyer in Esmeralda County. On the southbound shoulder of State Route 264 and Bluebird Road, we will find our next marker. Marker number 133, Fish Lake Valley. Fish Lake Valley. This valley was settled when the Palmetto Mining District was discovered in 1866. In the 1870s, the Griffin and Wymans, as well as the Pacific Borax Works, were extracting borax at Fish Lake. The Carson and Columbus stage lines ran northward to Aurora and Carson City, making connections with Log Springs in the Sylvania District and Lida. Several local ranches supplied food to the freight industry and mining communities. A post office was opened at Fish Lake Valley in 1881. This marker commemorates the life and times of W.O. Harrell, known as Harrell the Irrepressible, citizen extraordinaire of Fish Lake Valley in the 1870s. Nevada State Historical Marker number 133. Turning around now, we need to head back north to Carson City. Located on the eastbound shoulder of US 50 right before North Solomon Road is a small strip mall and our next marker. Marker number 134, Trans-Sierran Pioneer Flight. Trans-Sierran Pioneer Flight, March 22, 1919. The first authenticated air flight over the Sierra Nevada was successfully completed when 4 U.S. Army planes touched down here on an improvised field. Originating at Mather Field, Sacramento, and led by Lieutenant Colonel Henry L. Watson, the squadron was made up of 3 Liberty-powered de Havillands and 1 90-horsepower Curtiss trainer. The flyers personally welcomed by Governor Emmett D. Boyle were Watson, Lieutenants Ruggles, Curtis, Kroll, Schwartz, Haggett, and Sergeant Conway. It was Haggett who introduced an added surprise by landing his small trainer unannounced some minutes after the main flight. The flight concluded in Reno that afternoon. Governor Boyle flew as a passenger in one of the planes on its return flight to Sacramento, thus making him the first civilian ever to cross the Sierras in flight. Nevada State Historical Marker number 134. Now, let's travel east along US 50 for 145 miles. As we start to travel up the canyon, there's a small turnout on the westbound side of the highway. Once you pull in, you will notice a large rock wall foundation and our next marker. Marker number 135, New Pass. New Pass Station. In 1861, the rocks composing the walls of this stage station and freighter stop were in neat rows and roofed with bundles of willow. It was one part of Stagecoach King John Butterfield's Overland Mail and Stage Company road systems, which at the time began traversing this central route between Salt Lake City, Utah, and Genoa, Nevada. The natural spring here was inadequate for both humans and horses. However, Division Superintendent Thomas Plain's Support Ranch, 1 mile to the west, kept this important team watering and stock replacement stop operating. Completion of the first transcontinental railroad meant the eventual demise of the overland stage line. In 1866, Butterfield sold out to Wells Fargo and Company. By February 1869, Wells Fargo suspended all operations on the Central Route, and the New Pass station faded into history. Nevada State Historical Marker, number 135.